Oh yeah, I'll be performing. That's how it'll be my first time, just in a giant. I need to pick out a leather jumpsuit. That'd be funny to do a leather jumpsuit just for your first open mic, and you just eat shit for 5 minutes.
Live from the Willie Nelson and Friends Museum Showcase in Nashville, Tennessee. It's Music is Funny. Musicians talking to comedians about music and comedy. With your hosts, Raelyn Nelson and Jonathan Bright.
Smoking, I'm so high, I keep toking, I'm drunk, but I'm still drinking too.
Welcome back to Music is Funny. I'm Raelyn Nelson.
And I'm Jonathan Bright from the Raelyn Nelson Band, back with another ridiculous and unnecessary intro. Wow.
Fahim Anwar. We always start off every podcast by asking, what's the first music you remember loving as a kid?
Okay. So what, you ready for that answer?
Yeah, let's have it.
Well, whenever
I mean, I don't know if it's obvious or not, but like whenever I'm ready. So Michael Jackson was my entry point to like everything. Dancing, music, singing. It was just like such a well-rounded. I was like born at the perfect time for him at his peak, and for me to be just to see that. I don't think there's anything or will ever be anything like that again.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I don't know. I mean, there's still big stars, but that's uber rock star. I don't know if that's ever going to happen again.
Everything's so fractured now. Just, like you go on Instagram, it'll be someone with 5 million followers and you're like, who? Yeah. Whereas back in the day, I remember changing, this is how old I am, like the oldest TV when I was a kid, you would change it.
Yeah.
It would be like CBS, NBC, Fox. And when you have someone that talented and those are the only distribution streams, it's mega stardom. Whereas I don't know if anyone can achieve that level of fame anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Universal anyway. Like back when Elvis was huge, there were no outlets for anything. So if you're the guy, everybody knows who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that was my entry point to everything.
What was the first song you remember?
I'm trying to think. Probably Billie Jean was just like him doing Billie Jean in concert is different than the music video, because like Billie Jean with the glittery glove and the moonwalk and the fedora, that was such. I mean, the music video is great too, but that live performance was just so seminal of like showmanship, dancing, singing, building tension. Like when those drums hit at the very beginning, the crowd's going crazy. He's not even moving. And then he just puts a hat on and they go, ah! You know what I mean? He literally just like puts a fedora on and grabs his dick and the crowd goes crazy. He's exerted maybe 2 calories.
Yeah.
And that ripple that went across with the moonwalk, that's the first time a lot of people had seen that. And you could the ripple in the crowd first, and then almost society. Everybody went out and tried to figure out how to do the moonwalk after watching that.
Yeah, it was like witchcraft. Sometimes I'll watch the YouTube video. I think he did it for the first time on Motown 25, where he unveiled the moonwalk to the world for the very first time. And you can hear some audible gasps in the audience, like, like, what am I? Is he okay? Like, what's happening?
Is this witchcraft?
Yeah.
Now, did you stand in front of your mirror doing Michael Jackson? And are you that guy?
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Once you saw that, I mean, this is back in the day. I would record his music videos. I would record his concert, his concert films. And I would hit stop. I would hit slow motion. I would hit rewind. Because I'm just some kid in the burbs. That's how I learned how to dance. Just Michael Jackson tape.
Yeah. What was your mom and dad listening to?
They listened to more like Afghan music, But then also my mom did like Whitney Houston. I remember seeing that cassette tape, the one where she has like the hair in a bun and she's wearing this kind of like orange dress. Do you know that album at all?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So my mom liked that a lot. I'm trying to think who else. Yeah, nothing else sticks out a ton in terms of like, I'm sure they liked everything that came on the radio and stuff, but they played Afghan music around the house mostly.
What's that like?
The thing is, I grew up with Western music. So it sounds the same to me. You
Yeah.
know, like certain genres. If it's not your like, uh, I enjoy it, but almost because it's a nostalgia thing. It just reminds me of home when I hear it. But
Yeah.
there are certain. I'm sure there's people who don't like house music or something because it sounds all the same to them. But I can pick up on a different. Like I love house music, and so it's different to me. But they would listen to like Ider Salim and Ahmad Wali or Ahmad Zaire. So it would just be playing around the house, and I would, yeah, I
So
would
I've,
hear
I've
that.
I've never heard any Afghani music, but do they have like stuff that sounds like country or rock or any of that stuff, or were there subgenres that classic, this, that, and the other? How's that work?
Within Afghan music?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure there is, but again, picking up on that difference is hard for me. But it's very tabla based, like dun, 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 dun. Yeah, and then the like harmonium.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a harmonica on its side. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a harmonium.
Oh, cool.
I've just played around with it though. I'm not great at it. My boys are really good at it,
yeah?
actually. Yeah, they play piano, so they,
That makes sense.
It's a piano that makes you work. You go,
Yeah.
like you can't
Yeah.
relax if you got to generate.
So one of them's doing that because it's kind of big, it's a big harmonium. So one of them's doing this thing, and the other one's.
I wanna hire a guy to do that, just that part. Be like, I
Yeah.
don't want to just off of like a Thumbtack or something. Be like, hey, or TaskRabbit. I
Yeah.
need you to push the harmonium for me.
Just have a twin brother.
So from Michael Jackson, I assume that was a young age. Like when you get into junior high, high school, how did it evolve? Like music?
Okay, so Michael Jackson, yeah, I was younger and that was my entry point and everything. But he was kind of my dance teacher and he was my first. I just realized this the other day because I do stand up and everything. I've been doing stand up a long time. It's such a big part of my life. But I think performance wise, dance was the first thing. That was my first foray into like performing for people. And I feel like dancing is an easier beginning performance style because you're not speaking, but again, you have to pass that hurdle of like doing something in front of people.
Right.
But it's easier to break off dancing than like, hey, how you guys doing?
Yeah, maybe.
So I think I was really.
I was going to say
easier for you, maybe. For me, I would rather stand up and try to tell a joke than try and dance
instead of dancing.
Yeah,
I think it maybe it just kind of falls into whatever you feel. I had built up enough repertoire, like I was good enough where I was confident to dance in front of people at an assembly or something. And I remember I would run for ASB. I would try to be president or like secretary treasurer. And the talent show would always happen 2 weeks before the election. So like clockwork, I would always do the talent show and I would do Billie Jean. I would dance to Billie Jean. I would do the whole thing. And it was good. So people would fucking lose their minds when they would see me do the Michael Jackson. And then I would win the ASB election every time.
Dude, that's hilarious. You just reminded me in our high school talent show, we had a dude that dressed up like Michael Jackson. And I forget what he danced to, but same bit. And he was kind of a regular.
And we kicked the shit out of him. That's interesting how your school's a little different.
Yeah,
I was going to say, did you go to school with Fahim?
Yeah, maybe we went to school. It was you.
Yeah.
No,
Did you vote for me, dude? Did you vote for me?
But I remember he was a shy kid and he put on the outfit and people went crazy. There was him and there was another shy kid who could just shred on the piano, but he would play classical pieces, but he was so impressive that everybody was like, fuck, this guy's amazing. And then the one that was there from junior high all the way through high school, Kelly Blevins. She was a cheerleader.
Well, the other ones left?
Huh?
What happened to the other
No,
ones?
no. They were regulars, but they started kind of in high school. This chick from junior high would do gymnastics, but the big finale, she would grab her feet from behind her and roll across the stage. And she had huge tits and everybody would be just like, and it was sort of a rite of passage. You heard about this chick and like, holy shit, she's going to do it again this year, all the way through her senior year. It was amazing.
Isn't it funny this many years later, you say Kelly Blevins like it's Elvis or something? And just these people it's such a formative time in your life that Kelly Blevins, the idea of her will never go away. She's up there with the greats.
It's true. And she had more influence
Jimi
on
Hendrix.
me, more influence on me than Elvis, I would say.
Yeah, Elvis can't do that.
And a lot of prepubescent young men.
Do you think if she was on the Ed Sullivan show, they're like, tilt the camera up. We can't see your huge tits somersaulting.
They would probably
It's
be
too much for
flat by it.
America.
Yeah, if she kept doing it, they're probably.
I wonder if she still does it.
I don't know. I've not tried to look
We
her
gotta
up.
look her up.
You look her up on TikTok, that's all her videos, just still at it.
And we cut to a clip now.
And her kids are like, "Mom, enough with the titty rolling."
He's like, it's how I met your dad.
You
I
should have
rolled
seen
into
me
his
in
life.
Should have seen me in 1986.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, so it was Michael Jackson early on, and then I would dance, and that was my performance entry point. And then when I got into gangster rap actually, because grunge was really big in Seattle, and I'm there during the thick of it. Nirvana's popping off, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, just all these great bands. But it didn't really speak to me. I didn't like. It was fine. It was there, but I consumed West Coast gangster rap like Snoop Dogg, Warren G, Dr. Dre, Dog Food by the Dog Pound, and like Bone Thugs and Harmony, and then Biggie. So I love that era of rap. Like I grew up on it.
Yeah.
I consumed everything. And then when I was in high school, then Daft Punk entered my life, and that was just such a shift where like I hadn't heard anything like this, and not a lot of people were. It was like the greatest thing in the world. I'm like, how come no one else is listening to this type of stuff? Because it was all very much rap and pop and rock. And then there was this radio station run by a high school, by Nathan Hale High School in Seattle, called C89.5. But the signal was just as good as like a 93.3, which was R&B and hip hop. But it was all like house music and dance music. And so I would tune into that station all the time. And then they had an online playlist where you could see like who the people are. And then I became a consumer of my own music, or I would find it. I would sort of digitally crate dig. Instead of just hearing music like top 40, I would seek out music on the internet. And that goes on to this day.
That's interesting. Yeah. And
So you would on the internet, you would just where did you go to seek out new music?
There would be these websites that would have they would have like MP3s and stuff, and then Napster was big for a while,
Right.
and then LimeWire,
Yeah.
and all these file sharing sites. So the tricky part was identifying these songs. Like Shazam wasn't around,
Right.
Mhm.
so I would hear a great song and try to listen to the chorus, and then I would go to CD9's playlist of what they're playing in rotation and try to do some detective work. There was a lot more sleuthing that went on. You couldn't just hold your phone up and get the song.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Did you ever think about singing? Being a performer?
I don't know about singing. I feel like musicians and comedians kind of want a Freaky Friday. Like I want to do what you guys do, and sometimes musicians want to do what we do. I've tried to like make songs before or make beats. I have this fantasy of making music, but then I get discouraged. I think in jokes way easier than music. And I kind of like just being a fan of music. I can appreciate it. And I can find ways to inject music into what I do, or music will inspire what I do.
Yeah.
I've realized I don't have to do the thing. Even though I love it, it's okay to watch it from this vantage point and just appreciate it as a fan.
That makes sense.
Did you ever write a rap song?
What kid hasn't? I have to make sure, I have to destroy some hard drives, make sure this never sees the light of day. I have to throw it into a volcano or something. I feel like every kid takes a stab at being a rapper and making beats. There is no kid who hasn't tried, because they're like, hey, maybe I'm a rapper. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Dre. Maybe I make beats.
What about playing instruments?
I played bass when I was younger, but they kind of tricked me because they're like, oh, you could play the electric bass, and that looks cool. When you're a little kid, you go, oh, nice, I'm shredding on a guitar. So I'm in orchestra, and I'm getting to play the electric bass. I have an amp, I have a Fender amp. It's awesome. Sure, I'm playing Pachelbel's Canon, but visually, it looks great.
Way cooler than the oboe player.
This is true. Yeah. And then once I got to middle school, they said, yeah, you can't play electric bass anymore. You have to play upright bass. So it was a bait and switch.
Oh,
They
wow.
get you in with the rock star electric bass, and then they go, here's a giant fucking stand-up bass, even though I'm like 5'10", or no, I'm like 4'10" at the time. I'm an ant. And I have to lug around this giant bass. I have to get it on the bus. They just gave me like hard labor to do.
It's like getting the tuba as your instrument. Yeah.
The tuba would have been a step up. I would kill to play the tuba.
Go from playing in a rock band to rockabilly, I guess, when you get older.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stand-up bass when you're that young is a painful instrument. It's really big to lug around. The bow is heavy as shit, so it's just like destroying my wrist.
Mm-hmm.
The strings are like phone cables.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
You
So
have to
what-
sit on a stool. You have to, the bass is playing you.
You have to carry a stool with you everywhere you go to. And
No, luckily they provided the stools at orchestra. I didn't.
That's the back line. You guys got stools, right? All right. So,
But it was kind of so low end that even if you were terrible, you can kind of just like, and no one knows that you're terrible.
you fake it.
Yeah.
Is it pretty easy to go from the electric bass to the stand-up bass?
The tricky thing is the bow technique, because when you're playing electric bass, there is no bow.
Yeah.
So just that was a new thing to pick up. Just how much pressure and like how much resin to put on the bow. Yeah.
I was just thinking how funny, because the same way with me, when just the way you mentioned, you like, growing up at the burbs, you're like, yeah, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, they didn't really speak to me. You know what spoke to me? Gangsta rap. And you think about how big it was. Same, me too. In the suburbs, it gets around. I think it's that I don't know. It's like punk rock. They're saying things you're not supposed to say, and it wasn't on the radio. You had to find friends like, holy shit, listen to this. They're talking about actually killing people. This is crazy.
For me, it was more the vibe, because I like rhythm, I like melody, I like a nice beat.
Yeah.
So that was friendlier for that. Just musically, it connected with me. Whereas Smells Like Teen Spirit is this other, angsty, and it's a lot of noise. I'm not knocking it, but it's a different thing. It's not like a groove or a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I liked about hip hop too, because I started as a drummer and I was like, holy shit, everything's based on the drums. This is fantastic.
Yeah. And the bass lines too. And just Dre has such a rich history of all the songs that he samples. But when you're a kid, you don't know they're samples. That's the other thing too. It's when you get old enough, you realize everything's a sample.
Yeah.
Like I thought Will Smith songs were originals for the longest time. And I go, every single one? Every single one is a sample of a mega hit?
Excuse me. The thing about Dr. Dre and the Chronic, it was also funny. They did skits in between songs,
Yeah.
A lot
That's
of
a good point.
skits.
That's a lost art.
Yeah.
Nobody's listening to whole albums anymore. But back then you would put it on and they just take you on a ride, and in between songs.
Yeah, they were doing comedy
they were
skits.
funny as shit. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a radio
shit, I don't
station
think
on there called
Yeah.
W Balls. It's like, this is DJ Easy Dick.
Yeah. So funny. So
Wait, during the days of downloading music on Napster, do you remember when people would download their own, and then they would throw in their own sounds into it? Like they would be like, this is DJ boop, 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 in the middle of songs. Do you remember this? I don't know if you...
That was a calling card for so long. Like Just Blaze at the beginning. And just every producer would have this is a Jazzy Fizzle product shizzle.
Yeah.
It's like putting a watermark on a song.
Mhm.
I was at a point in my career at that time where I didn't even have I had dial-up internet.
Yeah.
So I missed Napster, all that stuff. I knew what it was. I'm like, how do you get it? And like, that'll take hours. I can't download that one song.
I didn't
It
have
would, but I would let it run overnight.
That's
I
good.
would
Yeah.
just
I'd get people
load
to
up
do
the
it
queue.
for me. Yeah, it'd take forever. I'd get people to do it for me, and like I'd be like, "Here's the songs I want. Here's the CD. Go get the blank CD for them." And be like, "Please, just beg them. Please do it." Or then I would babysit for these people who had it, so I would get them all loaded and hope to God it would be done by the time I had to go home. But yeah, and then the CDs that you would have would just be like summer 2005.
Yeah, that was your version of the mixtape.
Yeah,
We had
and it was
Oh,
cassettes
yeah.
that say the same thing on it,
yeah, July.
driving music, 19.
I would call mine Fahim's Party Mix volume, and then I had volumes.
Oh,
But
volume.
what's funny is I never played these at a party. Like I was waiting for this party to come that never did. But I was ready with like 80 some volumes of party mixes.
That's badass.
Good.
I was like, if you build it, they will come. They'll invite you to a party if you make enough party mixes.
guys, I have a party mix. I've got volume.
Yeah, they go, does anybody have a party mix? This party is lulling. And I have a Case Logic CD, a 48 Case Logic.
Start flapping them out.
Do you know
Isn't that was such a status symbol, just the how big your CD case was?
Yes. Or I remember people would just walk up and steal CD cases from people's cars. I knew people.
Oh, yeah,
would
that was a
do
big
Oh
deal.
man.
And it was,
Did you have the one on the car visor where it's like
Yep.
8 of them? You're like, "Seek."
Yeah, mine was blue and fuzzy. It said Angel on it.
Oh, good God.
Oh dang.
Had the
My
matching
brother,
sticker.
he had a 8-disc changer in the trunk. So that was kind of funny when he would pull over and then load up. So it's an asset, but then also a pain in the ass. You have to open up the trunk when you want to load up some new tunes.
Yep.
And the subwoofers came into existence around them.
Uh-huh.
That was a big game changer with car audio. When I was a kid, it was those 6x9s in the back, just cranking Aerosmith or something. And the first time I heard a subwoofer,
The system is
Yeah,
what we
the
called
system.
it. The system.
So that coupled with 90s gangster
yeah,
rap,
they wrote to it. Yes.
that's almost like low riding. It's just such a part of the culture
Yep.
because my brother had these 2 kicker 12s in the back.
Yep.
And I remember my cousin and my brother would drive around and I'm the runt. So I'd always be in the back seat. And it was almost like a sharper image chair, just boom, 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 just hearing regulators and it's just pounding on my back.
Yep.
They
That's
used to
exactly-
have DJs that I forget this guy's name, Trendsetter was his name, but they basically just wrote beats with this super low 808. Like it would go so down so low you could barely hear it on the things, and they just would make records that did. I don't even think they rapped to him. He would just sit there just to rattle windows.
Yeah.
And
That
when
was-
What's interesting, I always find being in some of those Honda Civics, you seem way cooler because it's a very Honda Civic thing.
Yeah.
for sure.
The Honda Civic with the subwoofers in the back and the tinted windows and the alloy wheels. You feel like you are the coolest person in the world when you are inside that car. But now that I'm older and you see that car driving around and you just hear the license plate rattling, it's almost like Einstein's theory of relativity or something. Like you seem way cooler inside the car than you do to the outside of the car.
Yep.
Because I just hear when I see this car drive by.
Yeah. Or you hear it way before you see it because the system's so loud.
And it was
Exactly.
hard. Yeah, you'd get nauseous in them after a while.
Yeah.
Your eyes would start shooting sideways every time the bass would hit. And like, dude, turn that shit down, man. You're killing me over here.
Just everyone pukes when they get out.
Okay, so what's the first comedian you remember loving as a kid?
I
Or
think
knowing about comedy and all that?
Eddie Murphy's Delirious was the first time stand-up kind of came on my radar. Maybe it had entered my life before, but it didn't really register as anything. But it wasn't until I rented Delirious for my birthday. We got the VHS cassette. I had friends over, my brother as well. We pop it into the VCR. And it was just such a defining, like, what is this? This is amazing. And it's such a seminal stand-up album or performance. You know, that red leather jumpsuit, Eddie Murphy in his prime. So I became aware of stand-up after that.
And I guess you just assumed that all stand-up comics were giant rock stars too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I'll be performing. That's how it'll be my first time, just in a giant. I need to pick out a leather jumpsuit. That'd be funny to do a leather jumpsuit just for your first open mic, and you just eat shit for 5 minutes. I have a gold chain and a red leather jumpsuit, and I go, this is going differently than I thought it would.
Maybe I'll just go do that. Just get a jumpsuit and hit an open mic and film it. And that'll be my stand-up special.
Yeah, I like it.
Pace back and forth with the microphone.
He's never done stand up before. It'd be the first thing.
Yeah. I don't
First
even have to
and
tell
last.
jokes, really.
I
The
think
worse the better.
Um,
all you need is a good jumpsuit.
So, yeah,
So Eddie Murphy.
You're
and
watching
then-
Eddie Murphy, and at what point did you think about doing comedy? I'm sure you talked about dancing and performing and stuff. You probably were thinking about doing something along those lines until the Eddie Murphy stuff.
Yeah, I think I remember when I was really young, the Home Alones came out, and I loved the Home Alones. And I just remember thinking, oh, I would love to do what Macaulay Culkin is doing. That looks so fun. So
Yeah.
that was kind of the earliest iteration of fame or celebrity or doing something fun like that. And then I grew up with SNL as well.
Yeah.
And then I loved that show so much. And then I got old enough to the point where I was inquisitive. I wanted to know, how do people get on this show? So I think I was 17 or 16. And so I just started researching how people got on. And I saw that they either did improv, which is like Second City, Groundlings, UCB is kind of the newest one of those. So it's kind of it's a school. You go, like Chris Farley was Second City, I believe. Mike Myers was Second City. Amy Poehler was UCB. So they were either that or they were stand-ups. Like Sandler was a stand-up, Spade was a stand-up. Trying to think, Kevin Nealon was a stand-up. So those were the two routes. And I researched the improv schools, the websites and all that. And it just seemed like stand-up was more my speed because you don't need anybody. You can just go do it. There's no class you have to pass. You don't have to pay money. And then also my parents weren't, it would be a hard sell trying to tell my parents, hey, I'm going to clown college or like stand-up was already hard enough. I couldn't tell them they're taking my money as well. Yeah. So stand-up that was the path for me. I go, oh, okay. Because I had SNL on the brain.
So what's your first step to that? At what point did you go, you know what, I'm going to try this?
So once I figured out stand-up was going to be my path, my mind was geared that way. And then I think I was 18, I'm in high school. And then I wanted to do stand-up for the school assembly, for the talent show. I figured I was going to hang up the Michael Jackson clothes for one performance. I think I was in TV productions, and I would make these videos, these funny videos and stuff. And when you make comedy, sometimes people get, like, parents won't get mad at someone playing the piano. But comedy, it's subjective, and maybe a parent can get mad or something. So I had made some stuff that was approved, but I think it was just a bigger headache than the school wanted. So when I said I was going to do stand-up, they said no comedy. Comedy's not allowed in the talent show. And I thought that was just bullshit. I thought that was to rule out an entire art form just because you don't want to deal with the potential fallout when you are approving or not approving. That just seemed kind of fucked up to me. So instead of just taking it, I put on this comedy night. And they were trying to get me to stop doing it. They just don't want to deal with comedy. It's almost like Footloose for comedy. I need to tell these jokes. I played a game of chicken on a tractor while I was trying to have it happen too. So I set it up where, okay, we're going to do a comedy night. And then they go, okay, it can't be during school hours. So it'll be after. And then they go, okay, well, you need a police officer. So then we rented a police officer. So all the things that they threw in our way to have it not happen, we did it. And it was great. It sold out the theater. And then I chose that as the place to do stand-up. So other kids did sketches and stuff. And then at the end, I did like 30 minutes of stand-up for my first time, which is insanity looking back. Yeah. Like I had that much to say at 18. Like I really.
Well, to be fair, we all know.
What am I talking about?
Do you still have it on video?
Yeah, I'm just talking about school lunch pizza for 20 minutes. Again, that's another thing I have to destroy after this podcast. I have to destroy my rap, my foray into rap, and I have to destroy my first 30-minute stand-up set. Remind me after this is over to destroy those.
But you have to dub your party mix into Spotify and send us the playlist.
That's true. That's not going away. That I'm going to uncover. That I'm just gonna do a marathon dance session to Party Mixes Volume 1 through. It's gonna be for charity. I'm gonna be on Twitch, just dancing for like 3 days. I go, hey guys, we're up to Party Mix 85. Who remembers the Baja Man?
He'll put it out.
Lou Bega's coming up next, guys.
He'll put it out for free on that, and then I'll say,
so
the big party will come along. You're like, shit, I've burned my party mixes the week before. If I'd have just waited another week, Grammy party.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know.
Okay.
So then, I did stand up on that thing, and it went well. They were all my friends and stuff, and it was a supportive environment. But that was the first time I had done stand up. So I was 18, and it was at this comedy night thing. And then I just kept going. Well, what's funny is at that show, so I was in drama in high school. And then for the last 2 weeks, there was this improv teacher. She was an improv player and teacher at this place called Unexpected Productions in Pike Place Market. So it was like our local version of Groundlings or Second City. And so she was teaching the kids the principles of stand-up or of improv. And she thought I was funny, and then she came to the comedy night and she liked the stand-up. She's like, my friend does stand-up. You should go to the Comedy Underground, which is this adult. I'm a kid. I never fathom of really going to a stand-up club. It's this foreign thing. But she was such an angel and kind of held my hand to the Comedy Underground in Pioneer Square. So she kind of held my hand to my first open mic when I was 18. And I watch the comics, I go up, I do 5, and it just felt like this is where I need to be. It just felt so natural. And I kept, not that I'm a stone cold killer out the gate, but there's something about it, vibe and energy wise. Some people do stand up and they go, I never want to do this again. I hate this feeling. And that's fine. But I just knew I was like a moth to a flame to it. So I just kept going throughout that summer. And I just kept going and going and going. And then you do something long enough, you become a part of the scene. And you just eventually grow and climb. And yeah.
Now, did you, in those first few times, did you just bomb badly ever?
I'm sure. Yeah. It's more schizophrenic your early years because you don't know why things work. You don't know why they don't work. You're still trying to connect dots. You're just sort of skydiving every time. You almost black out every time you go up.
Yeah.
You just like feel what happened up there like when you come off. And even if you get a big laugh from a crowd, you kind of don't know why you got a big laugh. You just don't, the way you and I are talking right now and the thought patterns you have and the neurons and connective tissue, it's not as concrete way on. There's an element of, it's heightened reality. It's fight or flight a little bit. And the longer you do it, you recognize those feelings. And I can be more like I am now, like I am on stage, and have your wits about you and be okay with 3 seconds of silence. And just, you have the tools, you've done it enough.
So where were you doing the open mics when you started? Still in Seattle?
Yeah. So I would go to the Comedy Underground. They would have an open mic, I think Mondays. So I would do that. And then you learn about other comedy clubs too. So Giggles, I would do this club called Giggles. And then there would be little offshoots, like bar shows here and there. And then there was this place called Laughs Comedy Club. And that was part of the Ramada Inn. It was in the lobby of the Ramada Inn, just this little comedy club bar area. And it was actually a big part of my life early on because I was going to college and I didn't have the midweek to perform at. So I just had the weekends. So I would do 15, 20 minutes every Friday and Saturday for a while. And it was right there on the east side. So yeah, you find out where your spots are and it's like going to the gym. You just got to get up a couple times a week.
So while you're doing this, you say you're in college. Were you split with your brain going, whatever you were going to college for, you're like, well, that's probably what I'm going to do, but I like doing comedy. This is fun. Or were you like, I'm going to college to make the parents happy, and what I'm going to do when I'm done is comedy? Because that's what I did.
Yes, it was twofold. It was make the parents happy, but then also I did like the sturdy foundation that the degree, because it was an engineering degree.
Oh, wow.
And I knew, okay, I'd be able to find a job. I'd be able to make money. It was a nice power base, and it made the parents happy while I chase what I really want. So it's a nice safety net. I don't subscribe. I'm different. Like, I don't subscribe to the all or nothing. Like, I have to live in my car to really give this dream. There's a lot of hours in the day.
Yeah, it's
I can make enough money to have a 1-bedroom apartment while I chase the dream.
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to. And especially nowadays, I mean, back 20, 30 years ago, you might have had to live in your car or do that because it was, there's no real internet. There's no this, that. There's just more ways to break into anything in the entertainment industry, I would think, now without having to just go all in.
You don't have to be and I mean, it helps. Or
back in the day, you had to go to New York, you had to go to LA, you had to go to Nashville. There were just certain places that you had to be to have a remote chance of doing what you want. But with the internet,
that is less and less true.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at what point did you branch out and hit the road doing comedy? 'Cause that must have been weird the first time. Like, are people going to get it when I get outside of here?
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing more of the road these last couple of years just because there's more of a fan base, and I'm just further along in my career where there's an appetite for it. And it's nice to hit these markets where fans are just so happy you're there and they want to talk to you afterwards. And they, I've been following you for years. But earlier on in my career, I would pop out every now and then, maybe like once every 2 months, or these gigs would pop up and I'd go out and do it. But that's a different type of touring. That's just more like making a little bit of money. And those comedy clubs at that stage of your career, they're just you're almost an excuse for them to push chicken fingers and drinks to people.
Yeah.
People are just going to see comedy. They don't know who you are. I guarantee, like, no one in that crowd knows who you are. They're like, so much of stand-up comedy is just, we just wanted to laugh tonight. And they don't know who you are. So it's nice to be at a stage in my career where people know who you are, and they're going to see comedy and they're going to see you. But that's a different thing than just a guy filling some time. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a different phase of careers.
Sure. It's kind of the same with the band. When you first start, nobody just goes out and tours. You're like, I'm 30 miles outside of town, 45 minutes here, maybe a couple hours here, just basically out and back to get used to, because you can't just jump in and tour around or you'll go broke.
Yeah.
also, no one's going to get offended at your music and leave.
That's a good point.
We're styles of comedy. Sometimes they don't even know what you do, and they go, "I'm sorry. That's not my fault that you're unfamiliar with my work."
Yeah,
it's true. It's like going into a bar and you have no idea if it's going to be thrash metal or easy listening, or you're just going for music, and that encompasses so much.
Yeah,
so much. Yeah.
I remember when it first started happening, where people were coming back, I mean, there's like 20 of them. I'm not saying we have tons of fans, but and they started coming back to the show, and they're actually there to see us, not just because we got put on some show with some other person. And you're like, whoa, we have fans that coming back to see us. It's like,
yeah, it's very cool. Because I'm on tour now. I pop out maybe twice a month. I was just in Philly and then Boston the week after. And it's very cool. Because when I'm in LA, I'm putting stand-up clips out and I'm performing at the clubs. And my only metric is sort of Instagram and TikTok and YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's just very different seeing hearts on a screen compared to faces and people and words. That just, one feels fake and one feels very real.
Yeah. I still crave that heart validation, though. I do.
Sure, we all do. But looking into someone's eyes and them saying, "Oh man, I've been following you for 14 years," or "I'm so glad you finally came to," that's cool.
Yeah. Do you have any fun road stories? Anything crazy happen?
I'm pretty tame, not really. Yeah, I got nothing crazy. I wish.
Good for you. Well,
Yeah.
you still got time.
Yeah, I wake up, I walk around, I try to find a nice breakfast place in the city. I have too many cups of coffee, and then I putter around. It's pretty uneventful.
Easy, guy. Slow down now.
Sheesh.
Well, I know. Maybe I should like scale back on the coffee.
Stop after one.
Okay, what's your favorite snack? Your road snack? Is it
Oh,
savory?
like-
Is it sweet?
I'm like a 3 square meals a day guy. I don't snack a ton.
You
But when
eat-
I go back home,
What?
I'll because I used to when I was in engineering school, my mom would get Pringles, and I would eat so many Pringles. So every time I go back home, she'll have a can or two of Pringles, and I'll eat them when I'm home. But I won't get them here because I know it'll be a problem.
Yeah. Okay, so 3 square meals. Do you eat dinner before you do a show, or do you wait till after?
Either. It just depends on how I feel. I've realized I have an iron stomach. Some comics are just dumbfounded that I can crush a kebab plate and then hit the stage. Because their stomachs are so temperamental, they can't. It's a ball of nerves, or it's a certain thing. Or I go, oh yeah, I can eat anything. I can eat like nuts and bolts, and it's fine.
Our bass player is like that. He'll eat anything right before we play, and neither one of us can eat before
It's
we
not
play.
even out of nerves. I just feel right after I eat, I'm like, I ain't gonna take a nap or
That's
Oh,
the thing,
slug,
like,
like
you
you're
don't
taking a
have
nap
energy.
while you're playing.
Like you don't have energy to do it.
But I also have friends.
Whereas
Our bass player.
whereas
and,
that fuels me.
Yeah, just shove food in and can go out.
A
and
full
doesn't-
meal, like mashed potatoes with steak and gravy and shit. I'm like, how do you do this? And he's
No,
still rocking out.
The problem is he's always well fed, and our dumbasses after the gig's over, it's 11:30 at night, and like, is anything open where we can get food?
Right.
Nope.
So same thing with comics too. That's the tough thing, where if you wait too long, especially in some of these cities that they're a little more sleepy and shut down, what are your options?
Yeah. Pizza.
So that kind of sucks.
Pizza's
Yeah.
better than McDonald's.
Or
or
McDonald's or a Taco Bell, and then you're secretly happy. You go, oh, well, I have to.
There's nothing else open. I mean,
I want to eat healthy, but I guess I'll have these Gordita Loco Crunch.
And since I'm here, let me get a couple of them. I mean, how often do I come here?
Yeah. I'm supporting the local business while I'm here.
One time there's this taco place in Texas that we love. So every time we go through there, we always stop. And one time JB got like 12 of the tacos that he liked and ate them the entire trip.
Yeah, well, we're
There
staying.
was
Like,
like two
ordered-
left over.
we had a fridge, so I was like, "Fuck it, I'm taking these." Hey, you guys late at night were like, "Yeah, let me get a little."
Let me
piece
get a
of-
little finger meat.
You go, yeah, I'll have the party pack. And they go into a party, and you're like, yes.
Somewhat, yes.
Yes.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
that just made me hungry. Those tacos are so
I
good.
know they are good. El Carbone.
What's the place called, and where is it?
It's in Hillsboro, Texas. So it's in between like Waco, or no, not it's like almost to
Dallas and
Waco.
Austin, probably
Waco.
in between those two.
Yeah. And it's
On the
called,
way from Dallas to Austin,
El
Jalisco.
yeah.
And it-
El Taco Jalisco.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah, El Taco Jalisco. That's what it's called.
Okay. Food for thought. That's a
you
nice
can-
little shout out. Congrats
go.
to them. Delicious tacos.
Put their Instagram. up
Yeah, and if
there.
you happen to be driving a big rig, they got plenty of parking for that too.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
That's significant because they were in this tiny little hut and then they moved into this big thing for the trucks. That's why it's
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They know
Okay.
their audience.
Best taco a la carbone I've ever had.
So before we let you go, thanks so much for doing this with us. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
So when's the first time you remember hearing about my grandpa, Willie Nelson? Do you know who Willie Nelson is?
Of course. Of course. I almost feel like he's just been so omnipresent. I can't remember not knowing about him. Obviously, I knew Michael Jackson first,
Yeah.
right? I hate to say it, but I knew Michael Jackson a little. I mean, if he danced a little better, maybe I would,
Yeah. He's
but
not a
pretty long time. I don't know, maybe elementary school or middle school, like late elementary school, maybe middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of people say the Muppets
Oh, really?
because
Okay,
he was
that
on the
makes
Muppets,
sense.
and then what was
What's
the,
the movie?
Dukes of Hazzard?
there? Yeah, Dukes of Hazzard. And then there's the what's the one, the high movie that Half Baked maybe?
Oh yeah,
Where Beer Fest or
Cheech
something.
and Chong?
no, it was
Why
think it
don't
was
I know
Half-Baked,
it?
wasn't
Yeah,
it?
is it Half Baked?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Anyway. Well, cool. That's awesome. Fahim, you're the best.
Do
Thanks.
you know Neil Brennan? He co-wrote Half Baked.
You know what?
He's
I
another
just heard somebody
stand-up.
talking about that on a podcast that he did. And is there a new one coming out? Maybe did he write a?
Oh, his special, it just dropped. Oh, you mean a new Half Baked?
Yeah. Is there a new?
I think the studio owned the rights to it, so it's like different people involved. Like Neil's not involved in it, but they can reboot things if they want. So I think it's a different writer, and different director and stuff. So I think they are going to do something with that Half Baked, maybe like a reboot.
I wonder if Neil had anything to do with my grandpa being on Half Baked.
I don't know, but have you ever heard Kevin Brennan talk about Neil Brennan, his brother? It's a whole nother story. They don't get along. Hilarious.
Yeah, family, not always.
We don't like talk about people though. So,
That's true.
Fahim, thanks for doing this with us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for doing this. It was great.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll let you know when it comes out.
Oh yeah. So,
and,
what do you have coming up over the next few months to tell everybody? Our tins of fun.
What do I got? So I'm on tour. If you go to fahimanwar.com, it'll have my tour dates on there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. I'm going to be in New York, Phoenix, Irvine. And then I put a special out like 6 months ago on my YouTube channel. It's called Hat Trick. And it's just me doing sets at the world famous Comedy Store. So there's 3 showrooms and it's just me doing 15-minute sets kind of in each and bouncing around the club.
Yeah.
It's really cool. It's so nice. It captures the vibe of a place I call home. So if you've ever been curious, you hear about the Comedy Store and you wonder what it's like, what that building is like, check out the special. It's called Hat Trick. And then, just my socials, Fahim Anwar on Instagram and all that good stuff.
So you did stuff like in the main room and the original room and the belly room.
Yeah. So the first set is in the original room, and then me talking to other comics like Tim Dillon and like Jesselnick and Marin, because I think the cool thing for people
that they don't know or they'll get to see is that it's almost like Grand Central Station for comedians, because
we're all on the road, and then in the middle of the week we're working on our stuff. So it's a real who's who of stand-up. If you're a stand-up fan, just that's a big hub. And any given night, so many great stand-ups are just floating around working on their craft, and then they dart off on the road on the weekends. But it's this great comedy melting pot. So OR, then I go to the main room, and then I do a set in the belly room. And Tarantino was there that night. It was fucking mind-blowing.
Yeah.
He sees my set, and we kept it in the special. He goes, because he liked my set in the original room. He's like, I want to talk to the cool guy. And so it captures this nice moment of just Tarantino and I and some other comics just talking. And it was so cool.
Yeah, man. That's so fucking
should have played him in your
cool.
party mix. Think I'm cool for comedy.
Look, I've got a great idea. Yeah, put this in your next movie, I think. Party Mix 73, I'm feeling, is your tone.
The Comedy Store is fucking cool. When I was there, the Kardashians were there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was it? The Cat Chappelle in the belly?
Yep. It was that day.
Because I saw this crazy car, and I'm like, who is this? I think it was a Bentley. It was like I think I was floating around that night, but I wasn't in the belly, because when Chappelle's there, it's insanity. It's and he's there so much that it's cool, but it's not as cool. It's just another day for me,
Yeah.
And I don't want to fight everybody to get up there. Like, I'll see him another night in the OR when it's more chill. But yeah, I remember Kim Kardashian, her car was parked in that lot, but it was so a cut above all the other cars. I was like, what's going on here? And they go, it's Kim Kardashian's car. Chappelle's doing a thing in the belly.
It's so cool. The Comedy Store is so cool. Everybody check out that special. Hat
Great
Trick?
idea.
Yeah, it is a
Hat
great
Trick.
idea. Yeah, I'm gonna.
So it's on
watch
my
it.
YouTube. It's my YouTube is just youtube.com/Fahim Anwar. And a really cool thing is the LA Times came out with a list for the best specials of 2022. Then they threw mine on there.
Hell yeah!
And yeah, that meant a lot, because mine's just it's a YouTube production. I just did it where all the other specials are from legit streamers like Netflix and HBO, and it's just inspiring and good to know that just good art is good art, and it doesn't matter where it is. If you create, it can still make waves, and that's nice.
Yeah, and us comedy fans who don't get to go out to the Comedy Store, it's pretty cool that you would, give us a little behind the scenes.
Peek behind the curtain.
Hey, Well, I'm just happy there's an audience for it. So, it's reciprocal.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, man. Thanks so much. And whenever
Yeah.
you're in town, I'll reach out and we'll hang out. And
Please do. And then ditto, when you come to the store, you've got
I'll
an
say hi
inside
to you
man.
next time.
Yeah, say hi.
Okay.
Thanks, buddy.
Fahim Anwar is my favorite comedian.
Yeah, another good one. I like it.
Yeah, he was cool.
Yes, definitely. I think we might be friends.
Maybe we'll hang out.
Anyway, enjoy your groceries.
Don't be an asshole.
I know your mama's name.
Did we cheers yet?
Enjoy, y'all.
Grill.